friends, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Antionna Fuller, and I'm the founder and executive director of Healing Households, where we are healing families holistically in the name of Jesus. We serve low-income and minority families, and we break generational cycles. We build first-generation pioneers, and we bond families together through exposure and experience. And by holistically, I mean that we break generational cycles spiritually, which you know if you've been following us for a while, but also practically when it comes to parenting and marriage and family time and finances and more. I love talking about the Lord, so I've been posting a lot of deep Bible studies lately. It's so much fun to me. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I'm not going to stop doing it. However, in the coming weeks and months, I'm going to be posting and expanding on more of the areas and topics that God wants me to cover on this channel. Our foundation from the very beginning has been rooted in Him, so it's only right that our channel and our earliest videos are rooted in healing spiritually. But in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 systems that are interfering with family health and stability, talk about some policy recommendations, and what we as a community can do about it. If you've been following our journey, you know that I went and graduated from law school to become a public interest attorney or a public servant. But in my last semester in law school, God told me not to take the bar and to build healing households, and now recently to build our YouTube channel. I think it's important to note that just because I didn't take the bar didn't mean I stopped being an advocate. It just meant that God needed my time and He needed me beyond the courtroom. I told myself that I was going to be the attorney for the hood and the hopeless. I'm not a practicing attorney, but I'm still committed to serving my community, advocating for equity, and doing God's work for God's people. I will also add that although there was obviously a spiritual reason why I didn't take the bar, I had to be obedient to what God was telling me to do, there was also a practical reason as well. Basically, as I was in the field, I began to feel a little torn. I did a lot of work in human rights and criminal justice, and I just began to feel that by the time my clients came to me as their attorney or representative, it was too late. And we know it's not too late, right? Like, they still have a chance to be free. But I began to question the idea of what being free truly meant. One of the greatest benefits of law school is that it helps you to think critically. And funny enough, I began to think critically about the law. I saw common themes among clients that led to their criminal system involvement: childhood trauma, addiction, poverty, family instability. And as their defense, I felt like I could either lose and they spend years in jail, or I could win, yay, and they're free, but I'm still sending them back to the same streets that brought them to me. So, like, are they really free if I'm not healing the root of the issue? Some people may not look at it like this, but it felt like a lose-lose to me. I felt like I was continuing a cycle that needed to be broken. I wanted to be more proactive than reactive. I wanted to get at the why, the root, and then pluck it to prevent. Attorneys are still needed. I have the most brilliant friends as attorneys and advocates, and who are fighting every day to better their communities. But I will say that we all have different gifts and callings and approaches, and I had to learn from myself that I am fighting as well. I'm just fighting differently, and that is okay. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of these issues and how we can fight together. But before we get started, if you like this video or want to stay connected with us, please be sure to like and subscribe. It will help us to be able to help more people just like you. We thank you, we love you, and we hope that you enjoy this video. It's a little cold today, y'all, so bear with me. But the first system that needs to be reformed is employment. There are high rates of job insecurity and low wages among the families that we seek to serve. Parents struggle to find stable employment, and if they do, they are often working low-paying or multiple minimum wage jobs just to make ends meet. Not to mention, many of these jobs come without benefits, which impacts health and retirement and generational wealth production, etc. Not only does this continue the cycle of poverty, but it also contributes to low supervision. And this is what I mean mean by that? So in law school, I was thinking critically about issues around juvenile delinquency and teenage pregnancy. And you know what they say, all the kids need is space and opportunity. So to reduce juvenile delinquency and teenage pregnancy, maybe we should pay our parents more so that they're home. If they're working 3 to 11, if our siblings are bearing the responsibility to look after us and they're only 2 years older than us, what do we think is going to happen? We need to increase minimum wage and find better paying jobs for our parents so that they can be home to give love, supervise, and let our kids be kids while they still can. I actually found a video that I posted on Instagram last year, so I'll insert it here. Hey y'all, so I'm just thinking about the post that I shared yesterday, right? About the minimum wage and 91 hours, like having to work 91 hours just to afford like a 1-bedroom in South Carolina. And it just breaks my heart, y'all. I promise you, this is what keeps me up at night. This is what grinds my gears. And it still bothers me. I'm very big and I'm a huge supporter of efforts to reduce teenage pregnancy and juvenile delinquency and things like that. But I'm also very passionate about addressing issues. And one of the solutions to all of that to me is paying our parents more. Like, our parents are overworked and they're not home to supervise. Pay them more, create better family-friendly work schedules. So yeah, I've been consistent with this. We need to pay our parents more, okay? The second system in need of reform is education. Research says that many first-generation college students come from lower-income households and will likely incur more college debt. Roughly 66% of first-generation college students had educational debt compared to 56% of continuing generation students. Now, this hits home for me personally. As a first-generation college student, myself included, a lot of us didn't or don't understand it. Like, I was told to get scholarships, and I did, but I did not understand that the difference between scholarship and tuition was debt. Most of us are going to school so that we can make it out, but we still have to send money back at home. Some of us have to drop out of school and go back home because we cannot afford tuition. If we are in school, we are working multiple jobs on top of school to support ourselves. And after all of that, we still have to worry about paying back our loans. And without a guarantee that we will even have a job after graduation. According to research, a Black woman is likely to earn less than a Black man or white woman with the same degree, and Hispanic women with undergraduate degrees earn even less. So again, employment and equal opportunities are not guaranteed. About y'all, but something about this just feels criminal. Like, where is the equity? During my 3L or final year in law school, I had the opportunity to speak at an anti-poverty symposium where I talked about my experience with poverty growing up, but also in law school and my fear and stress around student loan debt repayment. I'm from the South and I went to school up north, and there were many holidays I wasn't able to go home because I couldn't afford travel. I had to move multiple times by myself while in school because housing was expensive and I couldn't find affordable housing. I eventually became a resident assistant so that I could receive free housing. So I was responsible for over 40 undergraduate girls, planning monthly activities and events for them while working another job and staying committed to my extracurricular activities on top of being in law school itself and graduating with 6-figure student loan debt. So it was a lot. The speech is about 10 minutes long, so I'll link the full video down below, but I'll just add in a few clips here. Villanova offers a free tuition scholarship to incoming students committed to public interest. Because I applied late in the application cycle, scholars were already selected for my class. However, my 1L year, I asked if I could walk on as a scholar. I knew I was committed to public service, and I knew the free tuition would allow me to focus less on my finances and more on succeeding academically at VLS. I was told funding was not available, and I completely understood. However, since then, Villanova has welcomed their largest class of scholars, extended this scholarship to candidates that declined, and has received millions of dollars in donations, all of which have triggered me, and caused great emotional stress Sorry. Am I invisible? Sorry. To be fair, I am grateful for the chance to apply for opportunities such as hardship funds, but that's only a bandage, something to quiet, soothe, and cover the actual problem. To walk into this law school building every day, to be surrounded by wealth and prestige, while struggling and burdened with debt, and while expected to perform like those who are not, feels inhumane. My second question to VLS: how can you say Caritas and Black Lives Matter with no thought to a Black life in front of you, systematically oppressed by your hands? I dream of the day where higher educational institutions will protect first-generation students from returning to a life of poverty and instability, where those that deserve the most won't have to struggle the most, where equity isn't forgotten after diversity is achieved. To conclude, as I mentioned, God sent me here. And as you can imagine, throughout my entire experience, I always question why. But perhaps it was for this very moment to challenge each and every one of you to not just talk about it, but be about it. To not just listen, but to act. I don't know what God has planned for me next, but all I know is that Villanova has prepared me for it. So as we're reflecting on that, I would like to introduce... Oh my God. I love y'all. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It took a lot for me to do that. It really did. I get so emotional watching this. Like, for those that know me, you know that I am a peacemaker. I'm a highly sensitive person. I hate conflict. I hate confrontation. I don't speak up at all. This was my first time really speaking up and was one of the most proudest moments of my life, but it quickly turned into one of the most traumatic moments of my life. As you can see, my speech was well received. I received a standing ovation from the crowd, which was so shocking, but my school did not receive this well, and they did not like what I said. It's still something that I haven't fully opened up about, and it's hard for me to talk about. Like, I could feel myself tearing up, but I remember telling myself after that, like, I'm never speaking again. But God reminded me even then that my voice is powerful. He said that it makes demons tremble. It makes the wicked uncomfortable. It makes people look within themselves, and that's why it's necessary. That is why I have to speak, and so do you. Even if you're an HSP, you can still lead. We need more sensitive leaders who can bring more warmth and gentleness into these cold and crooked environments. It took me a long time to find my voice, and it's still honestly taking some getting used to, but I'm so proud of myself. I can hear the difference in my tone and my confidence from just those 2 years ago. I'm sorry for going off on a tangent. I just feel like I have to pause this video to encourage all the sensitive leaders out there, or just anyone that is afraid to speak up. I need you to try. I need you to speak. Take that muzzle off, even if it's a whisper, even if you have to write it down and read it on paper. You have so much greatness in you. There is so much power in you, and you are because He is. Policy recommendations are, of course, debt cancellation for first gens, period. An equity-based scholarship that offers free tuition and travel support. And my favorite, an alternative to college for those that want to pursue entrepreneurship, but also still want to leave home and grow with the like-minded community. One thing about first gens, we are go-getters. We are naturally motivated, creative, and givers. We know how to hustle. We want to build and be able able to give back. But something that I realized is that a traditional college experience may not be the solution for everyone. And no, I'm not saying not to go to college, okay? Like, I believe in education, and there were many benefits for me in doing so. I'm saying, had I had an alternative that would have given me those same benefits while putting me on a track to build my entrepreneurial career earlier, I would have signed up for that. After law school, my mindset and philosophy changed. People were asking me, am I going back to school? And my motto is, I'm only going back to school if it's free and necessary. And sometimes it is necessary for the profession of choice for you. But for those that want to pursue entrepreneurship, I have created an alternative, and hopefully, maybe one day, my doors will open. Third system in need of reform is one of the most harmful yet controversial systems, and that is child support. Outside of Healing Households, I am the voice of Reforming 1996, and we are a faith-based social movement dedicated to reforming the 1996 Welfare Reform Bill. And my biggest beef with the bill is that there is a requirement that requires TANF recipients to sue their non-custodial parents for child support in order to receive benefits. I advocate for low-income unmarried families in the child support agency, which is different from divorced families going through a family court judge. Earlier this year, I created a faceless documentary called Reforming 1996, A Cry from Black America, and I explained some of these differences and really walk through Black family separation from slavery to the child support agency to today's debtors' prisons. Debtors' prisons are supposed to be illegal, but they still exist today and contribute to our country's high mass incarceration rate. So if you're interested, it's about 30 minutes long, and I'll make sure to put the link down in the description box. This system hurts our families because it divides us. It keeps us angry. It eliminates the communication and the collaboration that we need and keeps us in a cycle of poverty. Before God told me not to take the bar and to start Healing Households, He was already transitioning me into social entrepreneurship. So I knew that the only way that I could be truly happy with law is if I designed my own fellowship project. I created a child support centered project and was rejected 3 times. So I actually started Reforming 1996 in resilience and as a way to educate my community about these harmful policies. The fellowship would provide me funding to do my project, and I decided I was going to stay committed even if they say no, even if I don't have the money to do it, even if nobody watches. I know that I am sowing seeds. I am planting a garden, and eventually harvest will come. I say all that to say I created a list of solutions and policy recommendations already on my advocacy channel, so I will be sure to link all of that in the description box below. The fourth system in need of reform is our healthcare system. Lack of quality healthcare on top of high medical mistrust can lead to untreated conditions and chronic illnesses for minority families. Small plug, in our Healing Black History series, I did a video on how we can overcome our fear of medicine. So if that is something that interests you, I'll make sure to put that down in the description box too. Research also states that constant financial stress and instability can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression. Policy recommendations and needs. First and foremost, there needs to be access to quality healthcare and facilities open. As I noted earlier, I'm from rural South Carolina, and we don't have a hospital in our community. The closest hospital is 20 minutes down the road. And y'all, 20 minutes is a lot. It can make a huge difference between life and death. My grandma still lives there and close family members, so it's scary to think about. So it's very important that we open these facilities to make sure that everybody has quick and quality access to healthcare. And going back to point 1, we need to make sure that we pay our healthcare workers adequately. They take care of everybody. We need to make sure that we take care of them. There also needs to be free or affordable mental health services specifically for low-income parents on child support and both parents during and after pregnancy. There is already so much pressure that men face. And so when you add on top of that financial pressure and societal pressure and punitive pressure, it can all become too much, especially when you don't know healthy coping strategies or if you don't have a non-judgmental person to talk to in a private space. And the reason I say that both parents should receive free therapy during and after pregnancy is because so many of them are becoming parents without first healing the wounds they received from their parents. 9 months gives families a good chunk of time to begin thinking about the parents that they want to be and to heal and to learn those new strategies. Also, there are some new mothers who are going through breakups during this time or coming into the realization that the person that they're having a baby with is just not good for them. Then after the baby is born, there's postpartum depression, right? But then there's also depression that comes with feeling unloved and rejected and just adjusting to the reality that you have a baby that you have to take care of with little to no help. And I'm not saying this is every case, but this is the reality for a lot of the families that I advocate for. So we need to give parents the emotional support that they need so that they don't bleed and their children don't repeat. The last point I want to make here is that we need financial therapy. Sorry for all the stories today, y'all, but I was struggling as a first gen with my finances, and I felt like I really needed to talk to someone about it. So I signed up to go to my free therapy sessions offered through my school, which again is another benefit to college. At this point, I didn't need someone to teach me how to do finances. I needed somebody to help me cope with the reality of my financial situation. So I get there and they give me this paper and they have a list of symptoms and reasons why you need to come, and I don't see finances on the paper. That's when I knew there needed to be a bridge between finances and mental health, specifically coping with your current financial state. The fifth and final system that we're going to talk about before we get into what we can do is the criminal legal system. I feel like this is a system that unfortunately doesn't require much of an introduction, but I do want to bring your attention to something. When we think about the minority bodies filling these prisons, we must also think about the minority babies that are growing up without these key relationships. I haven't seen Daughters on Netflix yet, but the trailer alone makes me weep because I love my dad so much. I was fortunate to have my dad growing up, and I know how much of a difference it has made in my life. And so when I know that there's people out there who grow up without their dads or their parents, it hurts me to my core. Same thing goes with knowing that there are babies losing their parents and friends to gun violence, losing their parents and friends to gang affiliation because they wanted to feel wanted, losing parents and friends to drugs because they were strategically planted in their communities, or did we forget? Losing parents and friends to incarceration because they're selling those drugs to make ends meet, bringing us back to point 1 because they're not making enough anyway. Even point 2 because they are natural hustlers and need to be molded and mentored into legal entrepreneurship. Either way, the violence, the deaths, the repetition of cycles, it is not normal, y'all. These are not just generational cycles in our families. These are generational cycles in America. There are some cycles that are bigger than us. Cycles as a country we need to break together. There are many reforms needed, from police accountability to mandatory minimums and more, but our approach in reforming the criminal legal system really deals heavily with eliminating debtors' prisons or punishing people for their inability to pay. Whether that's eliminating keeping our families awaiting trial in jail because they cannot afford bail, or advocating for people who are going to jail because they cannot afford to pay a fine or fee, as I stated before with child support. We need to stop shaming and punishing people for their poverty and instead empower them through stability and equity. Hey loved ones, okay, I am back. So again, this is just 5 systems I wanted to share with you that are in need of reform, but there are more. So I may do a separate video if that is something that you're interested in. Also, don't want to minimize or ignore all the good work that is being done. So shout out to all the activists and organizations fighting on the front lines. You are appreciated. My goal in this video is to continue these important conversations, to to raise awareness, to let our community know that they are seen and on our minds, and to talk about what we can do about it all. So here are 3 things we can do together to make change possible. Number 1, vote. Vote in every election. This is school board, local, presidential, etc. Due to IRS regulations, in my capacity as Executive Director of Healing Households, I cannot tell you who to vote for, okay? And I cannot encourage you to vote for a particular person or law. However, I can encourage you to vote, to listen, to ask questions so that you can make a well-informed voting decision about the world you want your children and your children's children to live in. Remember, your vote is your voice. It matters, it makes a difference, and it's necessary. Number 2, mobilize. What this means is taking your voice outside the vote and making a difference through action. You can mobilize people, resources such as wealth and assets, or even ideas to benefit your community. The First Amendment protects peaceful demonstrations in public areas. So examples of mobilizing people through nonviolent action could look like organizing a march, holding a silent vigil, signing petitions, and even in this new age of social media and technology, you could leverage social media through a hashtag or video campaign to bring awareness to an issue that you are passionate about. Just know there is power in numbers and there is power in you. Don't think that you can't make a difference. Don't think that you're too young or too old. Be a part of history or be a history maker. Number 3, support local nonprofits like Healing Households, operating as a bridge between need and reality. We exist as a solution to the problems that we see around us, but we need your support in order to move our mission forward. We created programs to help fight some of the issues that we raised in this video. We have a money mindset makeover program helping families cope with financial anxiety, overcome learned helplessness, and overcome their limiting beliefs so that they can believe that wealth is a possibility for them. Again, if y'all don't know, now y'all know I am a rapper on the side. We have a relationship recovery program helping custodial parents through their heartbreak recovery process so that they can choose healthy partners and be present for their children. We have a relationship responsibility program helping teenagers think critically around the consequences of sex. So we don't tell them what they should do, we help them think through what they should do. We help them think about the cycles they want to break, the value of the weight, and how the impact of sex is not just about unwanted pregnancies and STDs, it's generational. We have more programs, but the point I'm trying to make here is that we cannot do it alone. We need your support. And again, not all support is financial. I believe that generosity is whatever you have enough of that you can give to someone in need of. Whether that's your money, your time, your facilities, an encouraging word, a hug. I personally love hugs. It keeps us going, it supports us, and it makes a difference. I also want to highlight and acknowledge that we are not the only nonprofit out here doing great work. There are others that are in need of your support too. Generosity is at the core of who we are. I believe in giving back, and so that is why with every donation that comes into Healing Households, we donate back 10% to local nonprofits and churches doing incredible work in their communities. At Healing Households, we receive to give. I just feel like that's how the world should be. All right, loved ones, that is it for today. If you like this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with someone that you love. I love reading your comments, so please be sure to comment down below which action you're going to take, which policy recommendation connected with you, or if you have any recommendations that we can support you in. Don't forget, if you would like to partner with the mission of Healing Households or invest into me personally, the ways to give and donate can be found in the description box below, as well as more information about our programs. I love you all so much, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah.